Hello, everyone. Welcome to Developing Palates. I'm Aaron Loomis, and with me, as always, is June Liu. How you doing, June?
Doing good.
So today we are talking about the JRE Aladino Robusto. Cigar is 5-inch by 50 ring gauge. Comes out of the Las Lomas factory in Honduras. This is a pure Honduran Corojo cigar. So wrapper, binder, filter, all Honduran Corojo. Blended by Justo and Julio Aroa. Price point is $10, and the cigar was released in January of 2016. So, June, what was your pre-light experience like with this cigar?
A good pre-light experience. The Robusto had a Colorado Claro shade wrapper. I thought the wrapper shade was a little dull and lifeless, with virtually no oil content. Things well pressed, seems tight, but also visible. Cigar felt really weighty on the hand, with no soft spots and a firm uniform give. Heads finished off with a thick triple cap. Smelling the wrapper, I got spicy white pepper and cedar. Smelling the foot, mixture of fresh barnyard and sharp white pepper. Cold draw, white pepper on the tip of the tongue and lips, and a generic mixed nuttiness in hay.
Yeah, wrapper was like a medium brown. Veins were easily seen, even though they were well pressed due to the fact that they kind of carried a slightly lighter color to them. The seams were barely visible, and the head, finished off with a well-executed triple cap. There's one band, but I think it's made to look like it's two bands. There's like a burgundy and silver for the primary looking band. It's like a very traditional looking band where it's kind of a round area where the graphics are, and then kind of like a tapered look to it, like maybe like a traditional Cuban band. And then below that is like it's like yellow and burgundy, to be like an underband that has kind of I think it's the name of Julio on there. Um, and the aroma from the wrapper was like leather, while the foot gave like a mix of raisin sweetness and hay. And the pre-light draw gave me an abundant amount of leather, with a little slight spiciness on my lips. So flavor-wise, what was your experience like with the cigar?
In general, within the entire smoking time, it was a very medium in terms of strength and body. And it was a profile that was very both smooth and balanced. So within the first third, I got cedar, light body, sweet cream, cream mixed nuts, soft white pepper, and hay. On the retro, it closely follows the mouth draws actually, but it creates just more intense flavors of the mouth draw notes of that same white pepper, medium body, sweet cream, cream nuts, and hay. Finish is faint and soft with bitter and slightly charred oak, light body cream nuttiness, and light white pepper. Moving on to the second third. Within the first half of this second third, it mimicked that first third. The real change, kind of came after that. Within the second half of the second third, profile became a bit muddled, mainly leaving me with cream mixed with oak and soft white pepper. Still, thankfully, the retrohale is where it's at, where it still gave me good depth of white pepper, medium body sweet cream, and cream nuts and hay. Finish is comprised of oak, light body cream nuttiness, and light white pepper. Moving on to the last third. It was surprising because the intensity of flavors actually made a comeback. I started getting that dry mixed nuts, that medium body sweet cream, white pepper, and oak, which is all kind of very close mimicking the flavors and intensities that I tasted within the first third. So that retro hail is still the same. Elevator levels of that white pepper, medium body sweet cream, cream nuts, and hay. The finish still is just like the second third, just mainly getting oak, light body cream nuttiness, and light white pepper. So all in all, just smooth and balanced kind of a delivery.
Yeah, initial draws for me brought a full cedar with a slight bit of cinnamon, half inch in, some cream joined into the profile. And the Retro Hill was carrying a similar mix and carried a little bit of a zing from that cinnamon. And then at an inch in, the cinnamon left the profile, while that creamy cedar remained. And then at an inch and a quarter, a slight bit of cinnamon came back, and it was present in the background. Retro Hill was a nice creamy cedar. And then as the third was coming to a close, that cinnamon dropped out again, and that cream kind of eased back up with the cedar up front. And the strength was just slightly below medium. And then getting in the second third, the cream had completely left, and the cedar was now slightly drying, but it carried a little bit of sweetness to it. And then at a quarter inch in, that cream reappeared and pushed out most of the dryness. Half an inch in, cedar transitioned to oak, and the cream was remaining. And the retrohale was a nice mix of oak with that slight hint of cream there as well. And as the third was coming to a close, that profile was still primarily oak, but it carried that nice subtle cream that really created a nice mix there. And the strength had bumped up to be right at medium. And then getting into the final third, slightly creamy oak continued in both the mouth and on the retrohale. And then at a half inch in, that cream increased some while a slight bitterness joined in. At an inch in, the oak became a little bit green, which kind of caused that bitterness to become a little bit more of a welcome addition to the profile. And there was still a bit of cream in the background. And then as the cigar came to a close, that greenness faded away, and that kind of got back to the regular oak with that subtle cream, and the bitterness had left the profile, and the strength kind of stayed right at the medium level. So performance-wise, what was your experience like?
The burn, first of all, was flawless in all regards. Total smoking time, hour and 20 minutes, which is respectable for a Robusto. Burn line razor sharp the whole time. Ashes held on really tight, averaging inch and a half increments. In terms of the draw, it was very good. It was a little snug, but I never had to pay attention or full attention to it. But overall, very well constructed.
Yeah, burn was razor sharp for the first two thirds for me, and then in the final third, the burn went off a little bit, and I did one touch up. The ash was very dense and light gray. It just looked like one solid piece, and the ash was holding on in 1 3/4 increments. So great ash retention. And then for the draw, it was perfect, just around right amount of resistance that I prefer. So I paid no attention to the draw at all. So overall, what were your thoughts?
I thought it was a very smooth and balanced kind of a delivery of profile. With good spice woods, kind of a sweetness going on. But at times, especially in that second third, I thought that the flavors got a bit too muted for me, and also a little bit too faint. But all in all, I'll smoke more of these. But I like to try this in thinner ring gauge, because I'm hoping that with the thinner ring gauge delivery that I'll get deeper and sharper flavors as compared to this Robusto, but still hopefully providing a very balanced profile such as this one.
Yeah, and the cigar started out with a nice mix of cedar and cream with a little bit of cinnamon, and that kind of later moved into a cedar with that subtle creaminess. And then the cedar transitioned to oak with that same subtle cream, which created a really nice profile throughout the cigar. Being that it's 100% Corojo, I kind of had worried that the cigar might end up being really drying, but that really wasn't the case. So I was surprised to see that, and that was welcome for me. I think that creaminess kind of really hid the dryness. Kind of kept my mouth, feeling okay. So it wasn't too big of a deal there. I think this is a really nice introduction to the JRE portfolio. I hadn't smoked a JRE prior to this, so it has me eager now to trying some of the other lines that they have out there. And I like that this is kind of like a throwback to like the early days of Camacho. So people that are fans of Corojo or were fans of a lot of the early Camacho stuff, I think this is definitely a cigar to seek out because it kind of take you back to that, or kind of give you that nice Corojo profile. And I know that Will Cooper and Seth Geis are really high on the Lancero for this cigar. So like you talked about smoking in a smaller ring gauge, I think that might be a good one to try next in Lancero format to see how that works out for us. Score wise, I gave it a 7.20 and you gave it a 6.80. How do you think that matches up with your experience?
Matched up well. I mean, I went from good first third, average second third, and a good last third. And then I gave it really high remarks on the construction. So, no, it's in line with my expectations.
Yeah, same with me. I mean, I scored a good all the way through. I think that just that subtle creaminess that kind of stayed there to kind of go as the different wood changed up. It was really nice. I kind of like that. So it really, I kind of knew that cream was going to be there to really kind of just enhance whatever all other flavors that were going to pop up. So with great construction, it just kind of helped out the score some. So that was good. Any other final thoughts?
Yeah, going back to what you said about kind of this is like a tribute, not tribute's the wrong word, kind of like a
Throwback.
throwback to back to like the old Camacho days. Um, is interesting because I recently smoked a 2012 Camacho Liberty,
Hmm.
and I really missed that. There's like so much cream and like nuttiness that goes on in that cigar, and it's just a really balanced, smooth profile. And I totally see that within this cigar. But yeah, I think Julio's, if he wants to do this throwback thing, I certainly welcome it. I sure miss those days. So.
Yep. Yep. Well, thank you for tuning in. If you're just catching this video on YouTube, be sure to subscribe to us, but also check out the full written review on developingpalates.com. And be sure to follow us on all the social media channels, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google+. And you can catch all of our review recaps on podcast as well, iTunes, Google Play, and Podbean. Thank you for tuning in, and we will catch you on the next video.